Okay, so this deep dive tackles a question that I feel like everyone who's ever even looked at a dumbbell has pondered at some point.
Mm.
Can you really, actually build muscle and lose fat at the same time?
Yeah, it does seem kind of like trying to be in two places at once, right? Like
No.
defying the laws of physics almost.
Right, exactly. And today we're diving into 3 different articles from fitness experts to see if body recomposition is legit or just like a fitness fairy tale.
We'll see if it lives up to the hype for sure. And more importantly, like if it's something you listening right now could actually achieve.
One article called it a body transformation, not just weight loss.
Hmm.
So it's not about just shrinking yourself down. It's about actually changing what your body is made of. More muscle, less fat.
Exactly. It's about improving your body composition, not just seeing a smaller number on the scale.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
honestly, dropping fat and gaining muscle at the same time, it sounds almost too good to be true.
It's definitely not a quick fix, I'll say that right off the bat, but it is possible, especially if you're newer to training or maybe getting back into it after some time off.
Beginner's luck. I like it.
Yeah.
What makes being a newbie so advantageous?
Well, when you're new to resistance training, your muscles are just more responsive to training in general. Plus, your body might be a bit more sensitive to insulin, which helps shuttle nutrients into those muscle cells.
Oh, interesting.
So all this basically means you're primed for that muscle building magic to happen.
So how do we unlock this beginner superpower? The articles mention something called a calorie deficit, which, to be honest, sounds a little intimidating.
Yeah, that can be a kind of loaded term.
Yeah.
It's not about starving yourself or anything like that. Don't worry.
Okay.
It simply means consuming fewer calories than your body burns for energy.
Okay, that makes sense.
But here's where it gets a little tricky. To build muscle, conventional wisdom says you need a calorie surplus, which is eating more than you burn.
Okay, so which is it? Feast or famine? One article called it a calorie roller coaster, constantly adjusting what you eat based on your workouts.
That's actually a pretty accurate way to put it. Calorie cycling can be very effective.
Interesting.
The idea is you want to create that calorie deficit overall for fat loss.
Okay.
But you strategically eat a bit more on the days when you're doing those hard training sessions to fuel muscle growth.
Hold on. Permission to eat more on gym days. This is my kind of science.
Mm-hmm.
But what about rest days? Do I just eat a single salad and call it a day?
Not at all. You still eat on rest days, just slightly below your maintenance level.
Maintenance level. Is that the amount of food that keeps my body running but doesn't make me gain or lose weight?
Exactly. It's your calorie sweet spot.
Okay.
And by cycling around that level, you're essentially teaching your body to become a more efficient fat-burning machine while still preserving all that hard-earned muscle.
One article compared it to the sorting hat from Harry Potter, deciding where each calorie goes.
I love that analogy. Your body kind of does decide what to do with the energy you feed it.
It's true.
And speaking of magic, we have to talk about protein.
Okay.
All 3 articles were adamant that getting enough protein is even more important than cutting carbs or fat for this to work.
Really? They weren't kidding about the protein. One suggested around 1 gram per pound of body weight.
Yep.
Why is protein so crucial in this scenario?
Well, protein provides the building blocks, the amino acids that your body uses to actually repair and grow your muscle tissue. So even when you're in a calorie deficit, that extra protein is like a signal to your body saying, hey, prioritize muscle building. It's like giving those construction workers the best materials to build a strong, lean structure.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So it's the protein is the VIP pass for muscle growth.
Yeah.
Got it. But it's not all about diet, right? What about the actual workouts?
Absolutely. You've got to give those muscles a reason to grow. And all 3 articles were big fans of compound movements.
Compound movements.
Yeah, squats, deadlifts, bench presses, the heavy hitters that work multiple muscle groups at the same time.
Makes sense. Why just build one wall when you can build a whole house?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Okay, but what about cardio? Won't those long runs just sabotage my muscle gains?
That's a common misconception, actually.
Really?
While too much cardio can interfere with muscle growth, especially when you're in a calorie deficit, short bursts of high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, can actually be super beneficial.
HIIT, short, intense, and hopefully not going to make me pass out. Got it. But how does HIIT help preserve muscle when I'm also trying to lose fat?
It's all about those hormones.
Okay.
HIIT triggers the release of growth hormone, which not only boosts fat burning, but also supports muscle growth and repair.
Nice.
Plus, HIIT is awesome for improving insulin sensitivity, which we already know is key for that muscle building magic, especially in a calorie deficit.
Yeah. Okay, so HIIT, it is short bursts, big results. One thing that really surprised me in these articles was the emphasis on not starving myself. One article said that slashing calories too drastically can actually backfire when it comes to building muscle. How so?
Your body is smart.
Clearly smarter than me when it comes to this stuff.
Well, when you cut calories too drastically, your body can go into like starvation mode. It's a survival mechanism.
Makes sense.
It wants to conserve energy. And you know what gets sacrificed first? Muscle tissue. Your body would rather hold on to those fat stores, which it sees as like a more efficient long-term energy source.
Oh, wow. So my body's like hoarding snacks for later. Not cool.
It's just trying to protect you.
I guess.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy, though. So it's like I'm trying to trick my body into thinking it's got plenty of fuel while secretly getting leaner and stronger. Pretty sneaky.
Exactly. You got it.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot where you're challenging your body just enough without completely depriving it. Remember, we're aiming for sustainable change here. Not a crash diet that's going to leave you feeling hangry and miserable.
No one wants a hangry gym buddy.
It seems like body recomposition is definitely more nuanced than a lot of people might think. It's a real balancing act.
It really is.
Yeah.
And like any balancing act, it gets trickier the further along you are. One article actually mentioned that the closer you get to your ideal physique, the harder it becomes to keep making progress.
So it's like leveling up in a video game. The first few levels are a breeze, but then it gets progressively harder.
Precisely. When you're first starting out, your body is super responsive to change, and those results come a little easier. But as you get leaner and fitter, your body adapts, and that makes it tougher to keep shedding fat and gaining muscle at the same time.
Okay, that makes sense. So what happens if someone's already pretty lean? Can they still recomp, or are they just stuck at that point? So if someone's already rocking a pretty lean physique, is body recomp still even possible, or do we need to like rewrite the rule book for them?
It's definitely way more challenging. Remember we talked about how your body gets all protective of its remaining fat stores when you're already lean? Yeah, like it's the last slice of pizza at a party. No one's giving that up easily.
Exactly. It's like trying to convince a squirrel to share its last nut. Good luck with that.
Okay, that's a hilarious visual. So what's the strategy then? If you're already fairly lean but still want to keep optimizing that body composition, do you have to just pick a lane at that point, bulking or cutting?
For those cases, a more like traditional bulking and cutting cycle might actually be more effective.
Okay.
So instead of trying to do both simultaneously, you're shifting your focus between periods of muscle gain, which is bulking, and periods of fat loss, which is the cutting phase.
Right, so it's like focusing your powers for maximum impact. Instead of trying to be a superhero who can fly A&D teleport at the same time, you master one power first, then move on to the next.
Exactly.
I like it. So walk me through this bulking and cutting strategy. What's the game plan?
So during a bulking phase, you're going to eat a calorie surplus, lift heavy, and just really focus on packing on as much muscle as possible.
Go big or go home, right?
Exactly. And then you would transition into a cutting phase where you're eating a calorie deficit to shed that fat while holding on to all that hard-earned muscle.
Okay, so it's all about strategy. Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about people who are maybe newer to lifting but have their sights set on some serious muscle gain? Is body recomp the way to go for them, or should they just go all in on bulking from day one?
That's a great question. While beginners can definitely build muscle even with that slight calorie deficit, those who are really serious about packing on some serious size might actually benefit from a more dedicated bulking phase early on.
So for those who want to maximize muscle growth, that extra calorie boost is still king.
Absolutely. It's like giving that construction crew we talked about an unlimited supply of building materials. They can create something truly impressive with the right resources.
Makes sense. Bulk, first build that solid foundation, and then refine and chisel down the line.
Yeah.
It's like building a masterpiece in stages.
Precisely.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great note to wrap up on. Everyone's fitness journey is different. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. Body recomposition is a fantastic tool, especially for beginners. But understanding when to shift strategies is key for long-term success.
I couldn't agree more.
It's been awesome diving into this topic with you. Thanks for breaking it all down.
Anytime.